So, hey there, and welcome to my channel. My name is Elena. I am 26 years old, and I have been playing the piano for about 2 years and a half now. So, in this video, as a sequel to my previous video where I talked about how to choose your first digital piano as an adult beginner, today I'm going to talk about the importance of getting piano lessons at the beginning of your journey and how this might impact your progress overall. Right, so just like in my previous video, I'm going to start with my story and then I'm going to give you a few general tips, and you can call them like conclusions and like summarizing everything that I learned through this period. So yeah, with my story, when I first started learning how to play the piano, I didn't really have any plan in mind. So I wanted to be self-taught for a while. Of course, I was considering the fact that at some point I might also need some lessons, but at the start, I really wanted to push myself and see what I can learn on my own, because I was watching lots of YouTube videos of adult beginners and they were stating to be 100% self-taught, which was actually amazing, and they had actually pretty decent playing skills. So I chose to do that myself at the beginning. Right, so at the beginning, I was self-taught for a period of 2 months, and during those 2 months, here's a list of everything that I learned. So I'm gonna try and take them chronologically, I guess. One of the very first things that I learned was how the piano works and what the white and the black keys are. Also some things about posture and the importance of warming up before starting to practice, stuff like that. So like very basic, just don't consider jumping over it because it's like super important, and it might be boring, but it actually matters. Yeah, another thing that I learned was how to read music, and I was kind of bad at it. I'm still very bad at it, but I managed to understand how to identify a key on the piano if I see it as a written note. Another thing that I learned was how to play the C major scale and what the key signature is, what I don't know, how important it is to practice scales. Uh, I think I was watching some theory videos about stuff like chords, arpeggios, but I didn't really go too in depth with that. On the other side, I also tried to experiment the easier method of learning, which was through YouTube Synthesia tutorials. So you might be familiar with those kind of visual representation of playing the piano. And for me, that actually didn't really work because following the video was a little bit too fast for me, and it was taking very long to synchronize my hands. Of course, I was like very in my very early stages, and I had to pause the video all the time and slow it down, and that was actually pretty annoying for me. So I dropped this method pretty fast. Yeah, I decided to focus on learning the right way, and that would be by understanding music theory and knowing how to read music. Now, with my lessons, I was actually very lucky to have a former high school classmate who was also giving piano lessons, and she was also going to the conservatory. and therefore I decided to contact her and ask if she would like take me in as one of her students, and luckily she agreed. So this is when I started going to lessons, and it was a total breakthrough for me. It really helped me and it changed my perspective a lot. Yeah, so now let's jump to the things that I learned after going to lessons. So I guess my main issue at the beginning was the fact that I didn't really understand the idea of rhythm, of having a constant tempo, of playing the right time value of a written note. So I was aware of that because I watched some videos related to that, but to me it just didn't really seem too important. I was like, I can read music. I mean, why should I bother with practicing with a metronome and all that stuff? And to me, like, reading music before that point meant that seeing a written note, I could identify it on the piano, and the melody, how I was able to reproduce it. I had the melody in my head, so I knew the piece, of course, and I was trying to like memorize it and then reproduce it on the piano. But before going to lessons, I never attempted practicing with a metronome. I didn't really understand the importance of it. I was like, no, I don't really need that. And it didn't really make much sense for me. Yeah, and my teacher really tried um, to help me improve my rhythmic skills. We really focused a lot on that. So if to give you an example, at some point she wanted me to play some eighth notes, but to me my brain just didn't really understand how, if I'm hearing a beat, how I can actually divide it into equal parts. I didn't that really didn't make any sense to me, and we really struggled a lot with that in the beginning. But eventually, I got the hang of it. I'm still not great, and you maybe if you have followed me for a while and you've listened to my recordings, you can see that sometimes I change the tempo, or some things are off. But I'm trying to work on it, and I'm trying to practice with a metronome. I don't really do it all the time, but whenever I go to lessons, my teacher really points it out to me. Yeah, and another thing that I learned while having lessons was the importance of playing with expressivity. So I remember my teacher was pointing that out to me right from the start, and I was like, why are you telling me this? Isn't like something for advanced students? Like, I don't really think it is important to play expressively now. And she was like, no, you have to be aware of this, and you really need to try and get it into your habit of playing, because it's really, really important. Yeah, another thing that my teacher really helped me with was my technique. So when I started out, I was playing with really, really flat fingers, and that was putting a lot of pressure. I actually even had a problem where I had pain in my right hand, and I had to stop for a few weeks, or actually it was 2 months. Um, and after that, we tried to focus on improving my technique and playing with my fingers more instead of my arms. So that was my story, and I hope you find it useful in any way. And now we are going to draw a few conclusions. So here is what I learned from going to lessons and why I think lessons are beneficial. First thing is that your teacher will be able to point out both your strengths and your weaknesses. And in the case of your weaknesses, they will be able to give you some certain strategies to help you overcome those weaknesses. Another benefit of having a teacher is the fact that they can provide you with a learning path which is more suited to you as a person. And for example, if you want to be playing some piece that is way above your level, your teacher is going to tell you, hey, let's reconsider this. This is a little bit too complicated for you. Yeah, this was my experience with lessons. I am really grateful that I chose to have lessons. However, if you haven't started yet and you're considering to, I would advise you to try and learn some things on your own, because being self-taught can actually being self-taught at the beginning can actually help you realize the benefits of getting a teacher later on. But make sure that you try and consult a teacher in your very first months, because otherwise you can start off by having wrong habits while playing. And yeah, overall, this is pretty much everything that I had to say. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you want to add anything, make sure that you leave a comment down below. And yeah, for today that was all. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.